can I refuse a lovely-looking bird like you?
They met by chance, three happy-go-lucky young people. A fateful encounter that was destined to explode into a violent showdown.
She fancies you, you know.
It's no good. I'm married.
You needn't tell her.
You're a straight fellow, aren't you? I mean, you're not a con man. On the fiddle or anything like Barry.
Is Barry on the fiddle?
Mister, give us a hand down there, will you?
Get an ambulance, will you? Tell him emergency.
That was good what he done then.
He's a copper. Didn't you know?
A copper on the beat, a soldier without a gun. All coppers are. An explosive drama that pulls no punches. A violent clash of two bitterly opposed worlds.
I hate these demos. All them flying stones.
Oh, they just bounce off of me, love. They really do.
Oh, are you okay? Oh, lovely.
Got yours in there? Never take it off. Even in bed.
Sorry, love.
Can you get some help down here quick? Otherwise there'll be nobody left to rescue. Can you hear me?
A savage, brutal conflict of ideals that destroyed a friendship.
You have been inside, haven't you?
Maybe.
Big job?
Big enough.
What do you want me to do?
All I'm looking for, Mr. Wade, is a buyer. Look, I mean, you said...
You just deliver the goods, then you get your money, right?
I thought these gates were usually kept closed at this time in the morning.
All Coppers Are features Martin Potter as Joe, the copper. Julia Foster as the mixed-up Sue who lived for kicks. Nicky Henson as Barry, a small-time crook whose only friend was a copper. And guest star Ian Hendry as Mr. Wade. He knows what all coppers are. What would you do if you were a crook and your best friend turned out to be a copper?
Followers of Doctor Who may be interested to know that some of his more recent adversaries are currently on display at Madame Tussauds in London and available at record shops and LP and cassette called Genesis of the Daleks.
Oh, hello. My first guest, well, he isn't free, but he's ever so reasonable. Mr. Humphreys, are you free?
I'm free.
John Inman. Next to John is a very good friend of mine who sounds like something you order in an Italian restaurant. It's Victor Spinetti. And my last guest, well, it doesn't mean we're really in for bad weather, and the programme should be called Give Us a Cue. It's Alex Hurricane Higgins.
And they didn't allow girls in the club.
No.
I think the
That's astounding. Look at it. It's gone really quiet.
They should have.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
But
I thought this was outrageous.
the club had really started as a sort of drag club, hadn't it?
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the Victorian times.
I think if you go back to it, I think there was a lot of that.
No kind of barrier.
But it was patronising,
It was
wasn't
very
it?
patronising because there would be a ladies' night smoker when funny girls could come along and do their sketches and everyone would laugh uproariously and pat them on the head saying, jolly good girls, and off you go.
It was horrible. I was there in 1960-63 were my years at Cambridge, and I was in the Footlights Review of 62. But we weren't allowed to actually be members of the club. Women weren't allowed at that time to actually join, so it was very much by invitation, and because we were complicit in that feeling, I didn't think it was anything dreadful. I just thought, gosh, how wonderful they actually want me to come along and audition. I don't think I feel like that now.
Usually, your material was straight man to their material. It was quite difficult to get funny stuff to do against the man. So the things I can remember doing were all by myself, and most of them had no words at all, like the nun strip.
What was that?
Well, that all depended on the costume. I made this costume which was completely demolishable. It was a full nun's costume because I was brought up by the nuns and I know them inside out, so to speak. And I used to just come out looking like an ordinary nun, you see, and then just start swinging my rosary. And it would be on. But the thing was, it would get more and more ridiculous until I was stripped right down to long underwear. And then I put on flippers and a mask and just pad off the stage.
Without women, the world would judder or groan to a halt. And I, for one, am very pleased that they're standing up on the stage and making idiots of themselves.
Now look here, Redmond, my boy. This is a silly business. The girl will marry Quinn, mark my words. And as sure as she does, you will forget her. You're but a boy. And Quinn is willing to consider you as such. Isn't that right, Quinn? Now, Dublin's a fine place. And if you've a mind to take a ride there and see the town for a month, here's 10 guineas at your service. Will that satisfy you, Captain Quinn?
Yes, if Mr. Barry will apologise and go to Dublin, I will consider the whole affair honourably settled.
Say you're sorry, Redmond. Come on, you can easily say that.
I'm not sorry. And I'll not apologize. And I'd as soon go to Dublin as to hell.
Well then, there's nothing else for it. God bless you, me boy.
This isn't one of my pistols.
It's all right, it's one of mine. Yours will serve if it's needed for the next round.
Good luck, Redmond.
Gentlemen.
amazing show on television this night. It was called The Paul Daniels Magic Show. And in it, this unlikely little man called Paul Daniels. The most amazing things. First of all, right, he got this bloke called Ken, who we'd never met before, out of the audience. And he got Ken's watch and he got his own watch. Both watches showed different times. And he put both watches in a bag. And when they came out, they showed the same times, the watches. And then he got these two Asian women again, who he'd never met before, up out the audience. And he got their hankies. And he did just the most amazing things with their hankies. He made them appear and disappear in the most extraordinary places, you know. The thing was, I couldn't figure out how he did this, you know. I mean, it seemed incredible. I mean, I could see no sleight of hand, and obviously there were no camera tricks involved. And the only conclusion that I could come to was that this ridiculous little man really did have magical powers. You know, this Paul Daniels had the gift of the shaman. Paul, you bastard! Everywhere you look in the world, there's murder and rape and pillage, and you have the power. You could make the guns fall silent. You could make the knife drop out of the hand of the murderer. But no, what do? You spend your time pissing about, changing the time on watches and farting around with Asian women's hankies. Paul, please, I beg you, use your powers to help the world. Don't mess about. Paul, help the world, or damn you forever, you selfish little swine!
On BBC Two. Radio 2 is, however, on the air through the night with music and conversation. At this moment, it's Peter Marshall's Late Show. But before we go, a timely reminder that tonight the clocks go back 1 hour. Now, this should be done at 2 a.m. because, as you see, if we do it now, the time would in fact be 1 hour earlier and taking us back into yesterday.
This is scene 13, shots 48, Bonzo Dog Band, take 2.
Hello. Well, these are changing times, and I find that Thompson's easy bend trousers are ideal if lightly creased with a little haddock behind the ears. More and more, music is crossing the frontiers put up by language, colour and creed in an attempt to stop hooliganism on the railways. Has it been successful? I don't know. It has come to my notice just recently that certain boys have been seen in the vicinity of the school playground teasing the caretaker's rabbits. If this sort of thing doesn't cease immediately, I shall have them immediately shaved. Immediately. Tonight we introduce Sir Adrian Boult, working on his own composition, Noises for the Leg, with the London Leg Ensemble.
Well, it's now on Christmas morning, 23 minutes past 1, and BBC Two is back in the afternoon at 10 past 2. Well, if you're off to bed now, or perhaps even staying up to make a night of it, then there's always Radio 2, of course, throughout the night. But from us at the BBC Television Centre, let me thank you for your company tonight. Have a very happy Christmas, and good night for now.
Cock your pistols. Gentlemen, aim your pistols. One, two, three.
Is he dead?
Quite dead.
This has been a sad day's work for our family, Redmond Barry. And you've robbed us of $1,500 a year. Now, you'd better ride off before the police are up. They had wind of this business before we left Kilwangan.
Come on, Redmond. I'll go home with you.
Well, next Monday's film is set in a futuristic society. Rollerball, starring James Caan, is next Monday at 10:05.
The freeze which he has proposed would, of course, freeze in an enormous superiority of Soviet weapons in the intermediate nuclear range. The consequences, therefore, of such a freeze would not be balance, which is what we seek, but enormous Soviet superiority. That, of course, would be unacceptable.
In the evening, Mrs. Thatcher was entertained to dinner at the Presidential Palace. She's often said how much she admired the outstanding growth Mr. Lee has produced for Singapore with his blend of free enterprise economics and strong social control. But tonight it was Mr. Lee's chance to pour praise on what he called Mrs. Thatcher's firm government.
And there was no sterner test of your resolve than 1 year of violence and intimidation from the striking coal miners, which ended only recently. A lesser prime minister would have been softened by the insidious pleas for reasonableness and compromise in the face of organized hooliganism and blackmail.
Oh, Queen, defend your children and your country.
Her soft, persuasive words are deadly. Her guards will fight on my side while I show her for the liar that she is. Never make gods out fools to whitewash your own evil. My son was beautiful exceedingly. You saw him. Your own desire was enough, no need of any goddess. You saw him in his eastern dress all bright with gold, and you were mad with love, and thought, once free of Sparta and in Troy, where gold, you thought, flowed like the river, you could spend and spend until your spendthrift hand had drowned the town. Your luxuries, your insolent excesses, Menelaus' halls had grown too small for them. By force, you say. He took you. You cried out. Where? No one in Sparta heard you. And when you came to Troy, and on your track the Greeks, and death and agony in battle, if they would tell you Greece has won today, you would praise this man here, Menelaus, to vex my son who feared him as a rival. Then Troy had victories, and Menelaus was nothing to you. Looking to the successful side. Ah, yes, you always followed there. And now you talk of ropes, letting your body down in secret from the wall. Who found you so? Was there a noose around your neck, a sharp knife in your hand? Such ways as any honest woman would have found who loved the husband she had lost. Often and often I would tell you, go, my daughter, I will help you, I will send you past the lines to the Greek ships. Oh, end this war. But this was bitter to you. In Paris House you had your insolent way. You like to see the Eastern men fall at your feet. Look at that vest you wear, those ornaments. Is this the way to meet your husband? Oh, men should spit upon you. Humbly, in rags, trembling and shivering. So you should come. With shame at last instead of shamelessness. For all the evil that you did. King, one more word and I am done. Give Greece a crown. Be worthy of yourself. Kill her. O king, now show that you are worthy of your fathers. The Greeks called you a woman, shamed you with that reproach. Be strong, be noble, punish her!
I see it all as you do. We agree. She left my house because she wanted to. Went to a stranger's bed. Or talk of Aphrodite, big words, no more. Go. Death is near. You shall not any more dishonor me.
Oh, no, no. Upon my knees. See, I'm praying to you.
It was the gods, not me.
Avenging murder. Think of those who fought beside you.
The children, too.
Never betray them. Hear that prayer.
Enough, old woman! She's nothing to me. Her death in Troy is not the way. I shall take her overseas, with swift oars speeding on the ship, and there in Greece give her to those to kill, whose dearest died because of her. Take her to the ships. Keep her safe until she sails.
Every soldier had a free drink and £10 worth of vouchers to spend in the NAFI. Christmas Day 1977 has also seen the death of one of the great figures in entertainment this century. There have been many tributes to Charlie Chaplin, who died peacefully during the night at his home in Switzerland. He was 88. His doctor said simply he'd died of old age. Sir Charles, knighted 2 years ago, achieved a fame never likely to be equalled in the cinema. Gavin Hewitt looks back over a career that began with the early silent films.
The downtrodden tramp with shuffling feet was the character Chaplin created for himself when in 1910 he went to America and became a slapstick comedian. The pathetic little man, who was always encountering bullies or in terrible scrapes, became one of the best-loved screen figures of all time.